Hello guys, what's up? This is Murtaza. Welcome back to a Coder's Journey. In this episode of my Mastering NgRx in Angular series, I have decided to talk a little bit about Redux because, as I have told you before, NgRx is basically using Redux in order to offer, a robust solution for state management. So I think it makes sense to know a couple of things about Redux before going on. So let's talk about Redux. Again, if you haven't watched the previous videos, please make sure you do, because as I have told you before, what we talk about in each episode is kind of based on the ideas that we have already covered in the previous videos. Anyway, Redux. Redux is a predictable state container for JavaScript applications, and it introduces a set of principles to address the challenges of state management. These principles are key. When we want to learn about NgRx, we need to know the principles of Redux. First and foremost, single source of truth. So the application state is stored in a single object called the store. This centralizes the state and simplifies data retrieval. If you remember in the last video, I talked about the fact that if you want to implement a state management solution yourself in a small applications, chances are that you will resort to different components and services, and this kind of causes the logic of state management to be scattered through the application. Now, this compares well to what Redux is all about. Redux is about single source of truth. Think about it and compare it with the code that is scattered throughout the application. Single source of truth, as I told you, means that the application state is stored in a single object called the store, and this helps centralize the state and simplifies data retrieval. A state is read-only, immutable, right? A state can only be modified through actions. Actions are plain JavaScript objects describing what happened. So you cannot go and change the state in unexpected ways. You can only modify a state through different actions, and actions are JavaScript objects which describe what happened in the application. This immutability ensures a predictable data flow. So if you know a couple of things about functional programming, you probably know that immutability is very beneficial in helping an application to become predictable and consistent and less error prone. So a state is read-only in Redux. It means that it can only be modified through actions, right? And this immutability ensures a predictable data flow. Changes are made with pure functions, also called reducers. Reducers are pure functions responsible for specifying how the state changes in response to actions. So, some action occurs, right? Actions are plain JavaScript objects. And some reducers or pure functions are in charge of specifying how the state changes in response to these actions. They receive the current state as the input and the action, and they return a new state. A new state, the state is read-only. It doesn't change. It is immutable. Reducers take this immutable state and the action, and then they specify how the state changes in response to these actions, and then they return a new state rather than modifying the state which I told you is read-only or immutable. Actions describe state changes. Actions are dispatched to signal changes in the application state. They carry information about what happened but don't specify how the state should change. So actions or those JavaScript objects are dispatched, are sent to indicate the changes that we need in the application state. They do not they do not change the state themselves, but rather they contain information about what happened, right? They do not specify how the state should change. This is, the responsibility of reducers. Reducers take the state, the current state, as well as the action as input, and then they specify how the state changes in response to those actions. And of course, they return a new state, right? They do not modify the state because the state is read-only, as I told you about. So 4 very important principles. One more time: single source of truth. A state is stored in a single object called store. Number 2, a state is only read-only. It is always read-only. It is always immutable. You cannot go and change it in unexpected ways. You can only change a state through actions, through JavaScript objects, and this immutability is a good thing. It helps the application to have a predictable data flow. The third one: changes are made with pure functions or reducers. Reducers take in the state and the action, and they specify how the state changes in response to those actions, and then they return a new state rather than changing the state, because a state is read-only, it cannot be changed. Last but not least, actions describe state changes. They are sent in order to indicate or signal changes that we need in application state. They contain information. They do not specify how the state should change. They contain the information that the reducers take in or use to create a new state. By embracing these principles, Redux provides a clear and scalable pattern for managing state. NgRx, as an adaptation of Redux principles for Angular, inherits these advantages and further integrates them into the Angular framework. So keep in mind, these 4 principles of Redux are very important. NgRx is leveraging these principles, and it is bringing these principles into the Angular framework and helping us as programmers to take advantage of these principles to have a robust solution for our state management. And that wraps up this video. We're gonna end it here. It was a good thing that we talked about Redux principles, because as I told you, NgRx is using Redux, so it helps to know a thing or two about Redux. Stay tuned for my upcoming video about NgRx. If you haven't subscribed to A Coder Journey, please make sure you do. This will keep me motivated. It will keep the channel alive. It will help other people to watch the videos as well. And till the next video, stay awesome, keep coding. Till later, and bye-bye.